Let's bring in now retired Colonel Dr. Jacques Neria, former Deputy Head of Assessment at Israeli Military Intelligence. Thank you for coming on. So Hezbollah says a message was conveyed. So was that the purpose of these launches, to convey a message to Israel and maybe also to the Lebanese government?
Well, it is very strange because the Lebanese government has decided not to include the demarcation line ending with point 29, which means that the Lebanese government has recognized the fact that the gas field, Karish gas field, is in Israeli EEZ. Well, if this is so, what is the meaning of such an action from Hezbollah? In my view, my assessment is that you have to look a little bit northward. It happens a day after an attack has been perpetrated against a facility south of Tartus in a town called Hamadia on a target allegedly belonging to Hezbollah and Iran. And then you have also those explosions, unexplained explosions in Tehran, which means, in my view, that this is a message that Iran has conveyed through Hezbollah to Israel, meaning that we will continue to attack and we will perpetrate attacks on the gas field if your actions are not to stop. Which means another thing. It means that the Hezbollah and Iran has decided to respond tit for tat for every attack that is considered allegedly done by Israel.
Right, you mentioned Iran there, and we've seen that in recent months, Israel has increased its activities in Iran, those mysterious deaths of scientists in the Iranian nuclear program that perhaps Israel was behind. We heard the rhetoric also by former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. Is there a possibility that Hezbollah will try to conduct more of these types of operations because of the Israeli direct activities against Iran that we've been seeing recently?
This is a possibility that we cannot ignore. What is special in this mission that Hezbollah has underlined the fact that those drones were not armed, which means that he can arm them, and if he didn't arm them, it was on purpose, just to give us the impression that they can do what they are promising, and especially in those areas, which is also a mean to discover what sort of defenses Israel has. Is it how those drones are being intercepted is a way for Hezbollah to learn of the capabilities of Israel in the area.
All right. Retired Colonel Dr. Jacques Neria, former Deputy Head of Assessment of Israeli Military Intelligence, former Foreign Policy Advisor to Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.